So I have a good buddy of mine who sleeps with 20 new women per month. Every month, this guy is like a machine. He's got a lot of stamina, and he's 39 or 40. So props on him. And I believe he does it all organically without any supplements, if you know what I'm saying. And this is how he does it. So the first thing maybe was obvious, I'm not sure, but he's a passport bro. He's not doing this in the United States or Canada or Australia. If you're doing it in one of those countries, it would be pretty difficult unless you're not just going for fat pigs and slobs. But if you're going for girls that even look somewhat decent, then good luck doing that. Number two is on that same subject. He's not getting 8s, 8.5s, and 9s. He's lowered his standards. He, at his own admittance, he is banging 6s and 6.5s with the odd 7. So the thing is, because us men, we have this thing called the Coolidge effect, which means that have you ever heard the expression, there ain't no pussy like new pussy? When a girl is new, we can at least go once or twice. And even if she's not the most gorgeous girl, like most guys would probably be like a new 7.5, then bang the same 8 or even 9 that they've had a whole bunch of times. Like if they've been married to some gorgeous chick, but something's new, it has that new novelty. And I'm going to talk about this one a lot more. I want to throw in the other two kind of this guy's strategies. And then I want to come back to that one, though. So don't worry, we'll explore. I want to go a lot deeper on that one, on the fact that he's just going after 6s and 6.5s, because that's the reality of the situation for most people. And it's a shame. And I like to see guys date women that they're truly hyper magnetically attracted to, if that's possible for them. So more on that in a second. The other two things is, he has an amazing system for screening. He uses Tinder. He has a very specific set of text messages, very, very low effort, almost like a chatbot, copy and paste. And actually, I've been helping this guy a little bit. I have a copy and paste messages database, 70 plus copy and paste messages you can send to girls for almost any situation. Everything from openers, like if it's a dating app, how to start the conversation. If it's Instagram, you use different openers on Instagram than you would on dating apps. These fun, flirtatious, getting to know you questions, ways to reinitiate conversations with girls after just been kind of a lull. You haven't texted her in a day or two, or she left you unread. And it basically allows you to kind of do what this guy does, just kind of text like a chatbot, because ghosting and flaking is always going to happen. Ghosting and flaking is always going to happen. But wouldn't it be great if the ghosting and flaking happened after, say, 5 to 10 minutes of texting, like a chatbot lazily running girls with the same funnel and copy and pasting messages, then burning all this creativity. You spend 5 hours of time, you're sending screenshots of the group chat, consulting with your friends, the hive mind of brainstorming responses. It'd be much better if it's less painful if you're just kind of and this allows you to kind of lazily text, but with a lot of wit, move the conversation, go to my Instagram and text me the word database. My Instagram is redbeardrantz1. There's a link in the description of this video, and just text me the word database. And for free, I will send you, there's over 70 plus copy and paste messages to kind of keep the creative juices flowing and kind of text, very, very lazily, not thinking of whoa, what should I say? How do I move it forward? And what's the next response, right? So he has a good system for that. And he has a good system for the actual date as well. He takes them to, I guess I don't want to give any information on this guy, but he takes them to this area. It's a beach city. He takes them for a walk on the beach in some South American country, in some beach city. I'll leave it vague to protect this guy's privacy. And he'll say out of nowhere, I kind of got to use the bathroom, but these public bathrooms they have here on the beach are really dirty. But no worries, my apartment's right here. Just come up. I just got to use the bathroom real quick. And if the girl comes up with him to so he can use the bathroom real quick, he closes at 70, 80% of the time. And if the girl says, no, I don't feel comfortable, going up into the bathroom, I forget how, but he basically ditches the girl. He'll go up and say, okay, well, you just wait here then. And then he'll go up and take a piss. And then after he takes a piss, he probably doesn't even have to take a piss. He'll just text the girl who's waiting for him downstairs. Yeah, scram. I don't know, a little more. He'll have some excuse, right? I forget exactly what the excuse is, but basically, he has a system for texting like a chatbot, for filtering, screening for DTF girls. If she'll come up, into his apartment, yeah, no problem. I'll come up to your place real quick. High chance of, seducing the girl can happen. And there you have her in privacy. And, if she's going to go up on the first date, whatever, he spends minimum money. He takes them for acai or I maybe just gave away the country. It's Brazil. That's the country, but you don't know the city. Anyway, he'll take them out for acai. It's like a little, I don't know, it's almost like ice cream. Let's just say it's not, but let's just, for simplicity, say it's kind of like a frozen yogurt ice cream type thing, very, very cheap. And he gets some like Uber Moto, so he spends like very, very little money. But I want to come back to the last one, which is of all these things, being able to text like a chatbot. Oh, one more thing I want to mention real quick. He is a catfish on the internet like me. I'll put up some photos right now. And again, I say the word catfish, half jokingly. Listen, the thing is, girls are doing it worse than we are. So whatever, photos I'm showing on the screen, if you're like, oh my God, like, won't the girl notice when she sees you in real life? The answer is no. They never have brought that up with me or my buddy. We both, quote unquote, catfish a lot by editing our photos. And girls are editing them much, much, much worse. And we close like 70 to 90%, not 90%. Okay. I probably close within the first or second date. Like if I meet a girl for it and we have at least one first date, then the odds that I have sex with her is probably like 65, 75%. And for him, it's probably much higher. So that increases matches a lot. That increases everything, like putting a lot of emphasis on photography, not only just like learning how to do high status photography in luxurious locations, but then also, cheating a little bit to make yourself a little bit better looking, especially with the physique. Because again, a lot of guys have your physique is like almost there, but with a, proper like tune up, it could be all the way there. So that's another thing he does. Now let's talk about the last strategy in the mix, which is settling for girls that are 6s and 6.5s. Listen, this is something that, I am, I guess, running through a lot of girls. I don't recommend that. I'm actually looking for a wifey, and I kind of feel like, number one, that's just kind of how you find a wifey, by dating a lot of girls. Number two, I'm like kind of like forced to like report on the new like cities I go to and traveling. But I certainly don't recommend that passport bros be like the typical like sex passport bro, shelling out money for prostitutes and or just running through a bunch of chicks for the sake of it. I mean, look, no judgment if you want to do that, but also I'm an influencer, and that countries try to cancel you, so I gotta be careful with what I say and what I formally recommend for guys on YouTube. But another reason why I don't, recommend going for 6 and 6.5 is, at least for me, I'm a dirty dog, and I'm a very superficial guy when it comes to physical beauty. I think a lot of guys cope on this. I think the majority of guys cope on this. And I don't do free strategy calls anymore. I have a community where you can get group coaching calls. There'll be a link in that for the bio. But when I used to do these free strategy calls, the number, like by orders of magnitude, like there was no second place, like the first, second, and third place, like the number, basically the only question that people would have when they came to me on a strategy calls, they'd be like, hey, Mr. Casey Redbeard, listen, I can get the 5s, I can get the 6s, 6.5 sometimes, maybe even a 7. I cannot get the 8s and 9s. How do you get, we'll just say the 9s and 10s, because guys exaggerate. Like, you don't need anything hotter than an 8, trust me. But how do I get the 9s and 10s? How do I get the 9s and 10s? How do I get the 9s and 10s? The number one thing. And the answer is this. It's like, look, bro, first of all, you have to understand what you're actually trying to do here, right? The level of difficulty of, let's say, I don't know what's an example here. Winning a local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in your local suburb of Torrance, California, versus winning a national jiu-jitsu tournament. Like, they're both tournaments, right? Like, oh, how could one jiu-jitsu tournament be that different from a different massive, like an amateur boxing thing versus like fighting Mike Tyson in his prime. So what you have to understand is going from a 6 to a 7 is probably about double the difficulty, right? It's probably about twice as hard. Now you want to go to an 8, you're at like 4 times as difficult, a 9, 16 times difficult, and a 10, maybe 128 times more. It's like a logarithmic exponential increase. Yeah, I'd say about that. Like a 10 is probably 128 times more difficult to get than a 6. And then, whatever I say, 64 or, 6, whatever it is for a 9, these numbers are not exact. But the point being is the increase in difficulty, even from like a 6.5 to a 7.5, is massive, 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 massive difference. It's like night and day, house cat to a full-grown male African lion. Massive, massive difference. And for you to date massively different, more beautiful women than you've dating means you need to make massive changes in your overall strategy. And, I talked about a couple of these guys' strategies, this guy's strategy. So Let's kind of go over them again, but make them more applicable to the average guy. So geomaxing, as some people have termed it, taking advantage of geographical arbitrage. You know how like certain goods, like I make this analogy all the time, so sorry if you've heard it before, but the baggie of cocaine for $10 a gram in Colombia is now worth $400 a gram when it reaches Tokyo, Japan. The same thing happens with yourself, but you can look for foreign women even in America. So this thing is like, you can change your value by going overseas. But if you're willing to be like, look, Casey, I just can't leave my family and kids. I don't want to go to Brazil. I don't want to learn Portuguese and third world, the healthcare. I get it. You can go on Bumble. You can set your radius for 1,000 miles and set the targeting to only show you girls that speak whatever language, Korean or, Portuguese, whatever language for the country, the ethnicity of women that you want to date. That can work. You can fly girls in. There's certain countries with relaxed visa laws. Most places in Europe are pretty easy. Maybe not all places, but certainly the wealthy European countries. Also Chile, the only country in Latin America. So geomaxing is one. Luxmaxing is another one. I'm going to finish this hair transplant. It's going to look beautiful in the bed. You're going to see it's going to get nice and filled in. I'm going to get my teeth whitened in a little bit. I've made massive gains. I wouldn't say massive, but I made marked improvement, let's say, in my physique. I'm going to get to the point where I'm not going to have to even touch up my physique shots anymore, because I'll actually look like how I edit my photos in the earlier ones. I'm going to actually look like that pretty soon. I may even consider taking some supplements, if not whey protein, but the supplements that actually work. I do a skincare routine. Look, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of Luxmaxing, but some things are obvious. Get a hair transplant, whiten your teeth, grow a beard if you can. I may even want to see if I can thicken my eyebrows. Believe it or not, having thick eyebrows makes you look a lot better looking. Things you would never think about. Skincare routine, vitamin C, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and a light oil-based cleanser. That's enough for now. Social media maxing. So learning how to take photos where you look really high status, you're in high status environments, you're doing high value activities. I have a 15-second reel that I put on my page, all of my pages pinned to the top, where I am speaking to a room full of 200 people at a marketing conference. Like I said, learning how to touch up the photos and things like that, understanding that modern dating is, a lot of it is, digital dating, cold approach pickup, really, really bad ROI on your time, and, bars, nightclubs. I couldn't even be fucked to even go to a nightclub anymore. I just think that they're horrendous environments to be in. And then the last one is one of my most viewed videos on YouTube here. I'll put the link in the description. It's a really, really good free training on how to build an automated system. So, a lot of this stuff, not a lot of it, all this stuff comes down to strategy, right? So, whether you want to learn a foreign language, there's good strategies and bad strategies. If you want to learn guitar, would you want to learn guitar from an app or a YouTube channel, or an in-person, really good teacher? Now, I'm sure, there's probably some good YouTube channels out there, but a guy who's literally say no, your fingers are in the wrong position, or, you need to do this. It's that one-on-one. And again, I guess that's kind of obvious, one-on-one training depends on whether you can afford it or not. But I'm just trying to make the point that strategy is really everything. And one thing that I noticed is that, while body and height for a man is kind of objective, your face is extremely subjective, especially on the location that you're into, adds more subjectivity, meaning it's more open to interpretation. 6 feet is 6 feet. That's tall. 5'2" as a man is unfortunate. That's short. That sucks. Fat is fat. So, body and height is kind of universal, but face is not. And what I realized is that if I had a virtual assistant follow girls on Instagram for me, hoping that some would follow back, or, message the girls outright. By the way, Instagram is getting really, really touchy and shadow banny. They're making engagement really, really difficult. There's some ways to get around it. If you join my private community on School, if you get that messages database, to get the messages database that I talked about earlier, you have to be in this private community on School. We also talk about the latest techniques for actually getting into a girl's inbox on Instagram, because it's getting exceedingly difficult. But back to my point, it's a volume game. I've said this before. If I print you viewer, your username is David Jones in Utah 669, whatever your funky YouTube username is here. If I was to print out a picture of your face and walk around shopping malls and show it to girls, I say only beautiful girls, probably 30% would say outright he's not hot. Another 30% would say, or the vast majority would say, yeah, he's whatever, not that cute, not that ugly. He's normal, I guess. And who knows, 5-10% would say he's hot, he's attractive. And maybe 1% would be oh, he's an angel, he's a model, is he single, do you have his number? It's just a volume game at that point. And I realized that if I had a virtual assistant working behind the scenes at all times, hitting up girls and messaging them for me, that boded really, really well for me. And I could make up for, not necessarily being the most attractive, and not having like the highest conversion rate, from like opening message or whatever, to matching with a girl or getting her to respond a message on Instagram. But I can make up for that low conversion rate through a lot of volume. And actually I have more stuff about this in that same private community where I have the text messages database and stuff like that. And also, guys, subscribe to this video. I'm trying to make good content, trying to pump out a lot of content for you guys. Again, it really helps me reach more people. And I hope you enjoy this ride. I hope you learned a thing or two. And that's it. Peace out, guys.